Randy. Thank you, everybody. If you haven't attended one of my webinars, I'll do my really quick preamble. So that long title I have just means that I teach Constant Contact. And to Randy's point, I have taught Constant Contact for 14 years, and this is a favorite subject matter of mine because the analogy I always use, and it's oversimplified, but let me use it, is if my goal is to leave my home in Orlando and visit my friend Randy just outside of Baltimore, how am I going to know that I made my goal when I get to Baltimore, right? Well, the same thing. If I'm setting out to do marketing, well, how do I know I was successful unless I set goals and then also pay attention to the metrics? So in that analogy, the equivalent would be, let me monitor my GPS, let me monitor my map, let me make sure that I'm on the right path. Well, the same thing goes here. Now, while I do work for Constant Contact, do know everything I share, except for maybe the very end, is going to be applicable no matter what you use. Of course, we'd love to see you join the Constant Contact family and use our tools and functions, but this is going to be applicable whether you use Constant Contact or not. So let's talk a little bit about the idea of using analytics to track progress and make improvements. As a marketer, you spend time building all of this marketing. Well, we want to know that it's effective. It all starts with understanding which metrics to pay attention to, using those insights to adjust your strategy. So if I'm off the map, I need to get back on the map. But as a small business owner, as a nonprofit, you may not know what metrics matter the most for each channel. So let me define channels because we're going to be using that a couple times today. Channel is simply a platform. So social media is a channel, email marketing is a channel, text, SMS marketing is a channel. Events is actually a channel. So those are going to be the different channels that you might market through and market via to promote whatever it is you're trying to promote. And each channel requires different tactics. So let's quickly go through our agenda today. We're going to understand what are those crucial metrics for each of those channels. Then we're going to gain insights into. Came back on, Randy, threw
I
me off.
did. I don't see your slides in Zoom, which means the recording might not pick it up.
I'm seeing it on screen share, Randy.
Okay. Never mind then, because it's weird. Okay.
I mean, we can ask the audience, can you see my slides?
No, they can see it because I'm live
You
streaming. I
can,
just
yeah.
don't see it in Zoom.
I don't know, but I'm seeing it on screen share.
Okay, perfect. As long as it's recording it.
Okay. Then we'll talk about gaining insights and what those metrics reveal, and then we'll experiment, optimize to get the best results possible. So let's start off with our first channel, which is going to be social media. When analyzing your social media performance, it's crucial to focus on several key metrics. Impressions and reach are fundamental as they help you troubleshoot problems and enhance your results. Impressions refer to the number of times your content is actually displayed in social media, while reach indicates the number of people who see it. Engagement metrics such as likes or comments, shares, they gauge the success of your content with the engagement rate calculated as the sum of those likes, those comments, and those shares. Additionally, the click-through rate measures the percentage of people who clicked on your content, and the conversion rate shows a percentage of people who completed what it was you were trying to drive them to do. Monitoring follower growth and audience demographics can also help you identify when you're not achieving your ultimate goals. Lastly, if you use multiple platforms, you're going to want to compare their performance to determine where to focus your efforts on. So in particular with social media, you definitely want to be paying attention to things like reach impressions and engagement, especially because of algorithms. So many of the small business people I've taught, most are doing something on social media, and of those, most of them are doing something on Facebook. You can't put all your eggs into that basket. Just because you're posting something on social media doesn't mean people are seeing it. Now, of course, that might be because you might say, well, that's because they're at work or they're busy with their kids. Yes, that could be true, but it could also be because your posts are not actually being shown. The more engagements you get, the more likely that person is going to see your posts in the future. For an example, if I'm posting on social media and Randy never engages with my social media post, she never likes a post, she never comments on a post, she never shares a post, odds are Facebook is going to start not showing my content to Randy. Why? Because Randy basically told Facebook, I don't want to see this. So it's incumbent, if you are doing social media marketing, I'm assuming you are, that you get those comments, those shares, those likes. That's the trick to this, right? You want people to see your content. You want them to buy your product, buy your service, donate to you, do whatever it is you're selling or offering. You want them to do that. but you need engagement for them to even see that you have that product, that service, that opportunity, right? So a lot of what I share with you here is going to be ideas on how to get that engagement. So they're good indicators, right? Things that you want. You want those likes, you want those comments, you definitely want those shares if at all possible. You want to make sure that you're getting regular engagement, then you're getting those high click-through rates, people actually then taking action. So it's not enough just to get people to like, comment, or share, but the ultimate metric is them clicking through. When you have a link for them to click on and they click through, that is proof positive that your content was really deemed valuable. But on the flip side, if you're not seeing comments, you're not seeing likes, you're not seeing shares, you're not seeing click throughs, there's probably something wrong in your strategy. Now, with my experience, that's often because small business folks, small nonprofits, they just share content, right? There's no ask in the content, meaning there's no place for people to inject their comments. There's no reason for somebody to like it. If we're just sharing a picture of our product, and we're not giving people an opportunity to share their opinion, if we're not asking them questions, we're not giving them a reason to take that action, and we want that action. So if we're seeing low engagement, there's a couple of strategies you can employ. You could try offering education. So education doesn't come easy to people in terms of writing educational content, but that is usually very valuable content. As long as it provides value to your audience, it's giving them a reason to like it, to share it. And we think about education, especially if you can educate your audience on something that's related to your product, something that's related to your service, something that's related to your nonprofit, you're probably going to increase the opportunity for them to share it. Because I'll use a really rudimentary example. A restaurant shares a recipe. People like that. Wow, that's something actionable. It's educational. You know what? Who else probably like that recipe? My family, right? I'm going to share that with family members. I'm going to share that with a friend that likes cooking this kind of recipe. I know that's a really simple example, but that's the kind of power of educational content. Video. Video is not only a way to educate your audience, but also entertain them. And if you have something that's really entertaining or educational, valuable, sharing a video on social media is a powerful way to get likes, comments, and shares. Behind the scenes content. So giving people an idea of what's going on around your office, around your industry, around your nonprofit, right? Now, nonprofits tend to be able to do this a little bit easier, a little bit more naturally. But for profits, getting a testimonial from one of your employees talking about what they do, it requires nothing more than a cell phone and, hey, what are you working on today? And they talk about it. What's your background? That gives two benefits. Now you might say, well, this employee is not going to really sell my product. Oh, they might, because what they're actually selling is the humanity of your organization. You think about social media, it's a very personal space, right? It's the people don't buy products from companies, they buy them from people, right? People don't buy services from companies, they buy them from people. The more you can humanize your marketing, the more lift you'll see. Think about having a product, say this product does XYZ, or you have a person saying, hey, I'm Susan, I love working on this product because I know it does this, that, and the other. Well, one is going to more likely get comments, shares, and likes, right? It's because of bringing in that humanity and showing behind the scenes. And then lastly, you see some examples on the screen. Interaction. Ask people questions, offer them quizzes, polls. The benefit to doing things like that is the only way somebody can answer a question is by typing. That typing, that submittal of that comment is going to help you beat the algorithms, help you get your content out in front of people. And when somebody is ready to buy, when they see your marketing, they are going to be more likely to take action. Other things you can pay attention to is make sure you're writing compelling headlines, right? Things that are going to grab attention. A lot of small businesses will just throw anything out there. A lot of nonprofits just throw anything out there. You got to pay attention to what is going to grab people's attention. And also use things like teasers and previews. Give people a little glimpse of what's coming up. You'll see large companies do this all the time. In fact, I think just this last week, I saw a very large organization do nothing more than just put a date as a post. They didn't say anything else. They let everybody wait and comment, comment, comment. What's this date mean? When are you going to announce? And then a couple days later, they put the date and they said, you'll definitely want to see this. And then a couple days later, they put the date and they said, you won't want to miss here's, and they kind of started to tease it out. So by the time that date came around, not only was everybody cued in and clued in, ready to see whatever was going to be announced, but they'd been getting comments, shares, and likes the whole time. And you can also employ things like animation. So you can see here I have an animated GIF where it's going to draw the attention. It's also kind of funny if you've been looking at this GIF, but it's drawing the eye. And, much like video, it's going to cause people to focus on my content and ideally comment, share, or like. Now, when it comes to social media, how often should you post? Maintaining a consistent posting schedule is crucial. What you don't want to be doing is posting once in May, twice in June, not in July, again in August. What's going to happen is two things. One, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot because that algorithm is going to be keep hiding your content more and more and more because you're not getting regular comments, shares, and likes. Additionally, if anybody went to go visit your page and saw you haven't posted since February, you don't seem like a very engaged company, right? You're not really trying to connect to your audience. Maybe you're telling them, I don't answer the phone. Maybe I don't do such good service. If you're going to be in social media, be on social media. You need to have a regular, consistent posting schedule. Now, that's going to differ dependent on the kind of business you are. It's going to differ dependent on the kind of nonprofit you are. But be in it regularly. At least once a week, be posting. Let's pivot to our next channel, which is email marketing. When it comes to metrics, there's a variety of different metrics you'll want to pay attention to, but one is the most important. So, open rate. And if you've attended any of my presentations, you know I get pretty on my soapbox about this. Open rate is the one metric that when I talk to small businesses and nonprofits, they obsess about. Open rate is simply the percentage of people that you sent an email to that open the email. It is always the largest number you're going to see besides the number that you sent the email to. The problem with open rate is that it is full of false positives and false negatives. Just because somebody opened an email doesn't mean they read it. They could have opened it and immediately closed it. They could have had it open in a preview, or thanks to Apple back in 2021, Apple basically, to oversimplifies it, marks every email as opened, no matter what device it lands on, no matter what device it lands on, and no matter what inbox is actually being used. So if somebody's using Gmail on their Apple device, that counts as an open, just the fact that it hit that Apple device. So you can't really measure your success with open rates. You can pay attention to it if you're seeing your open rate steadily climb. That could be because you're doing some clever things with your subject line. Maybe your content's really resonating with people, but it's not the ultimate metric. Click rate is. Click rate proves the email was delivered, opened, read, and specifically tells you what was read. Now, I'm a bit of a liar because of these metrics, the conversion rate really is the one that matters the most, but the conversion rate is hard for me to talk to you about because Constant Contact and our competitors can't tell you the conversion rate. That's the number of people you sent the email to that actually bought something, that actually donated. Now, I will say that with Constant Contact, we do have some e-commerce type reporting that can show you a conversion, but unless you're using e-commerce tool, if you're a typical brick and mortar or a nonprofit, you're going to want to pay attention to your conversion rate on your side, on the tools that you use to manage your business, your customer relationship manager, your point of sale system. You'll know that you sent a campaign out on this date. It had this product, it had this offer, it had this opportunity, and we saw a lift correlated to that. For nonprofits, there are tools that will help you track your conversion rate. So if you send out a campaign along with a link to donate, there are tools like Donor Perfect that can tell you that the conversion has occurred. Unsubscribed is the number people don't want to look at, right? It's actually a good number. It's a weird thing to say, but it's a good number. Unsubscribes is simply the percentage of people you sent an email to that left your list. The thing about people that unsubscribed is they're never going to do business with you, very unlikely going to do business with you. So good riddance, right? Pruning your list. But additionally, it's not considered a negative number because if somebody wants to leave your list, they have two ways to do it. They can unsubscribe or they can mark you as spam. When they mark you as spam, they're actually telling Gmail, if they're using Gmail, they're actually telling Microsoft if you're using Outlook, whatever tool they're using, they're telling them, I don't like this guy. I don't like this sender. And what's going to happen is that if enough people say, I don't like this person, well, they're going to soon stop sending your email through their systems, right? So if I have a choice, I'm going to take the softer landing with unsubscribes because that's not reporting such negative information back to the Gmails of the world, the Yahoos of the world, et cetera, et cetera. Bounces. Bounces is a weird one. If you've ever sent out an email and got a I'm on vacation reply, that's a bounce. You sent out an email and something bounced back. Bounces is something you actually want to pay attention to because there are good bounces and there are bad bounces. And I'll talk to you about those in a moment. So as you start to look through your metrics, you want to start thinking through what do those metrics tell me? What do I do with those metrics? And especially what I want you to pay attention to is the number of people that are clicking links in your email, the number of people that are clicking links regularly in your email. If you're not paying attention to who clicked on what, then you might not be making as much money as you deserve. By knowing who clicks on what does two things for me. One, knowing that this person clicked on this thing, I now know this person is interested in this thing, and I'm going to target them. I'm going to send them more information about the thing they clicked on. Looking at the clicks, knowing what people are clicking on is telling me what my content was received as. Oh, wow, this content was really valuable to the bulk group of my subscribers. I now know this content wins. I'm going to lead with this kind of content. They really like this product, this service, this article, this education, this video. They really like it. I'm going to do more of the same. And not only am I going to do that in my email marketing, I might also do that on my website. I might also do that in my blog. I might also do that on social media. On the flip side, you also want to be paying attention to the people that didn't take action. At some point, they gave you or you collected their contact information, and if they're not regularly engaging with you, well, you need to kind of change up your strategy and figure out a different way to crack them. So I told you there's only a few times I talk specifically about Constant Contact, but in Constant Contact, we do make this easy. We will actually group these people together for you, from people that are regularly engaged or people that are not engaged at all anymore. And you can actually click one button and do dedicated marketing to people because they were really, really engaged, or do dedicated marketing to people to try to win them back and get them to pay attention to you again. I'm often asked, well, how do you win people back? With a discount, right? You group people together that are not regularly interacting with you. You have a subject line that's talking about a great offer, and you give them a great offer. They're probably going to pay attention to that. Regardless, you want to treat them differently because they're not paying attention to what you're normally saying. You also want to pay attention to dates and times. So, any product, Constant Contact, any product will tell you when people opened, when people clicked. Pay attention to that. I'm often asked, what's the best time to send? I can't tell you the answer because it's unique to all of you. It's unique to your audience. It's unique to what you offer. It's unique to the geographic area. It's all different, right? What I will say is generally midweek is the higher performing time, Tuesday, 9 a.m. usually to about Wednesday at 3, but that's not the gold standard because while that might be great for some, it may not be great for you. So pay attention when you send out an email. When did they start opening? If you sent an email Tuesday at 3 and notice that the majority of your audience opened it at Tuesday at 5, okay, I'm starting to know when my audience is engaged. If I'm noticing most of them open at Wednesday at 9, all right, they're speaking to me, right? I'm going to start sending Wednesday at 9, then I'm going to keep tailoring until I find that sweet spot. The other thing you can pay attention to is on your side. When are you regularly getting more phone calls? When are you regularly getting more visits? When is your busy time of the day? If you're busy at a certain time of the day, might mean that your audience is actually engaged at that time too. Now, the reason why I hemmed and hawed there a little bit is for some retail, you might be busy because people are hungry. You might be busy because school's about to start and people need to shop for school supplies. You can't rely solely on why you're busy, but pay attention to especially phone calls and interactions like that might tell you when your audience is engaged. Now, I told you that bounces are weird things, and there are good bounces and there are bad bounces. The three categories that you want to try to resolve are non-existent, suspended, and undelivered. Non-existent means it's probably a typo. If it's a typo, somebody gave you an email address that is a typo, at least in Constant Contact. I can't speak to our competitors. You can actually review if you find an obvious typo like .com, you can edit it and fix it, and now you're on your way. But for the most part, you're not going to know what the typo was, whether or not it was a real email address. You may want to just delete those. Suspended means that there are bad bounces that have been found on other people's lists. So if I have a fake email address and I try to send and it bounces back at non-existent, that's not going to change if somebody else is using that email address, right? So if Tony's Pizza Shop has Randy's fake email address, a typo-ridden email address, and Barbara's salon has that same email address, it's not going to change. It's still a bad email address, right? So you want to clean those up too. And then undeliverable, that's going to be that the address just doesn't exist. There is no such address. So you want to clean those up. If they're blocked, that's also something you probably want to just delete. But if it's blocked, you can call that company and say, would you please unblock me? That's generally going to be found in organizations like healthcare, education.edu, .gov, military organizations, where they just have outright blocks. They will not let marketing through. You can try calling them. But if you see blocks that are outside of those models I just told you, you can try calling the company and say, would you unblock us? It's pretty rare you see those. Mailbox full. Well, we've seen people have mailbox full or on vacation. Let those be. They'll clean up their mailbox. They're going to come back from vacation. The last category that Constant Contact identifies is other. That means the bounce came back so weird, so cryptic, we don't know what that means. In that case, you probably want to delete those too. Now, I keep saying delete these. Why should you care about this? Why is this a metric to care about? Because it impacts your deliverability. The more you keep trying to send to bad email addresses, the more you're telling the Gmails, the Outlooks, etc. of the world, I don't care who I'm sending to. I'm just going to send to everyone. Well, you know who else sends to anyone and I don't care? Spammers. You're acting like a spammer if you don't regularly clean these up. So you want to clean these up because they'll help you get your emails delivered in the future. Our next channel is going to be text marketing. So what metrics do we need to pay attention to with SMS texts? Well, you certainly want to be paying attention to the delivery. If you're seeing a high delivery rate, that means your list quality is really good and you're in compliance with the carriers, the AT&Ts, the Verizons of the world. You're considered a good operator and you're not running into any problems with delivery there. You do want to see click rate, right? So just like email, the more clicks you get from a text you send, the more valuable the content was deemed. And ideally, the more likely somebody is going to buy, visit, do whatever it is you're asking them to do if they click on a link. It's more a strong metric because it's proving that they read it and they took action. You want to pay attention to bounces. So just like email addresses, you might have bad phone numbers and you probably want to clean those up for the same reasons. And you also want to pay attention to unsubscribes because if you're seeing high unsubscribes out of norm, and at least in Constant Contact's case, we tell you what normal is, well, you might want to rethink your content strategy. Something's making your audience unhappy. Other things to pay attention to is make sure you don't use the same approach as your email. So you want to make sure you have really unique content for text messaging. You want to make sure that you're segmenting your contacts, that you're segmenting people that are regularly engaging with your SMS. You want to try to treat these people like VIPs. So you want to use that different kind of content. So these people, you're coming into their notifications, right? This is a very personal space. You want to treat them with content that's really, really unique. You don't want to just share the same content with people on text that you're sharing in an email that anybody could get on Facebook. It needs to be tailored specific to them. And try to keep it kind of important, timely, right? You don't want to just be sharing that you have an upcoming gala in 3 months, right? You want to be saying, oh, the gala is registration is about to close, right? That's a little bit more timely. Other things that you can do to help yourself with text marketing is make sure you're identifying yourself. Make sure you give people the ability to opt in and opt out. Be consistent. Don't be sending text once in May and then the next time in August. You want to be consistent, but you don't want to overdo it. You want to have a very consistent, regular schedule. These are your VIPs, and you want to treat them with respect and not oversend to them. So you certainly don't want to be sending several times a week. That's just going to burn people out. You also want to be concise, keep it down to one text if possible, and always give people, as I said, the way to opt out. The last channel we'll talk about before we take questions, I'm sure plenty are coming in, is around event marketing. So what are the metrics to pay attention to here? Well, I think some of this is kind of obvious, right? You want to pay attention to your registration count. You want to pay attention to your registration rate. So how many, if I sent out marketing and I'm anticipating my audience is going to be X, have I seen that kind of rate? Are they coming in at a fast enough rate that I'm going to hit my goals? If you're selling products for your event, pay attention to that. Have you ordered enough product? Is this meeting the goals that you set in terms of selling that product? And when I say product for events, I'm talking about things like books, like t-shirts, like hats, things like breakout sessions. Am I seeing the kind of engagement I'd want to see on social media? So am I seeing likes, comments, shares there? If I'm using my event as a way to grow my email marketing list, is my email marketing list growing? And then ultimately post-event, it's always a good idea to survey your audience and find out what they thought about the event. Are you seeing good responses there? If you're seeing low engagement, try a couple of different strategies. One, keep your sign up simple. One thing I see a lot of small businesses and nonprofits do when they're running events is they ask for way too much information. Try to ask for as limited amount of information as you need to have a successful event. Unless you need to know the favorite color of your attendee or what their dog's name is for some marketing purpose, don't over ask questions. Make sure you're featuring the benefits of your event in all your marketing. Make sure you don't just rely on one email to support the attendance of an event or one text or one social media post. Be regularly engaging to increase the attendance of your event and the registration for your event. If in certain circumstances it makes sense, perhaps use a special offer. So one thing a lot of successful events do is they will have an early bird rate, right? So you can save a little bit of money off registration if you order early. That's important, and that's actually a really great strategy because now I know I have of my 200 potential tickets I'm going to sell. I've already got a lock on 50. I got them already in the bank, so now I can worry about capturing the rest. So it helps you plan out your event and have a kind of set attendance based on people taking advantage of an early special. Another thing you can do is the flip side and offer some sort of discount if registration is looking low. Maybe offer a discount at the last minute, and then identify your cost versus value. So make sure that there is a clear reason that people should attend, and make sure that they understand that the money they're going to put into an event, if it's a paid event, is going to be recouped in some way through education, through entertainment, through experiences. Make sure you're clear in your marketing about what they can expect. If you are seeing a softening in your registration, send reminder emails, send automated reminder emails. Also, make sure that if you're doing an event marketing, make sure you start out about 3 months before your event. You want to do a teaser, you want to start leading up to the event. Don't just wait till 2 weeks before the event or a month before the event to see successful registration. Also, make sure that you're scheduling those reminders effectively. So if you're doing things like webinars, make sure you're sending reminders 4 hours before, and then 3 hours before, 4 hours before, 30 minutes before, to make sure that people know that they should attend. And you want to make sure that as people register, that you're sending them reminders after registration on details like parking, details like times, make sure that they're paying attention. And incentivize people, incentivize attendance, make sure that they might get some special giveaway or some sort of discount by attending to assure that people actually attend. So before I take questions, a couple of wrap up notes. So make sure, please, if you're going to undertake digital marketing, it's a full it's a full experience. It's not just enough to get those social posts out. It's not just enough to get those texts, those emails, or have events. You've got to be paying attention to the metrics, because ultimately you're not going to know you were successful if you didn't watch the metrics all along, and you ultimately will not be able to pivot and change direction if you're not monitoring those metrics. Make sure you're prioritizing your efforts. So make sure that you're not trying to be too many places at once. Make sure that you are regularly engaging on social media and email and text. Make sure that you're regularly engaging to promote your events, and document changes. Make sure that if you're seeing slippage in your open rates, you're seeing slippage in your click rates, you're seeing changes in your event registration, they're softening up, you're seeing less engagement on social media, pivot, change. Don't just keep doing the same thing. Analyze the results, analyze the metrics, and change tack. Now, I promised I wasn't going to be too constant contact heavy, but I got to do this because I'd feel really bad if I didn't. If you only know constant contact for email marketing, everything I just described to you could be done with ease. And if you stay for my demonstration, I'll show you just how easy. Social media marketing, text marketing, email marketing, and event marketing and registration can be done through constant contact, along with things like surveys and much more. So if you haven't taken a look at us lately, I'd love for you to get a chance to do that. But Randy, let's bring it back.